Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So I thought I would start this channel by saying exactly what I'm doing this year in my teacher training year, and also explaining a little bit why I chose to do a PGCE, of course I'm losing my voice, and school direct rather than going back to uni and doing my training there. So bit of background, I graduated from my Bachelor in Science in Psychology in June 2019, so a few months ago. And to be honest with you, the first biggest reason for not going back to uni is just because I was a bit fed up. You know, I don't feel that, I'm not necessarily not studious, but the idea of going back to seminars and lectures, knowing it's to talk about a job that's super hands-on, where you need to be in the classroom getting experience, I kind of thought it wasn't for me. So one thing I really love about school-based programs is that you are basically all the time in schools. Just from last week actually, I've started working 4 days a week in a school. Previously it was 3 days a week and we had 2 days a week training. Me personally, it was on a Monday and a Friday, but now we've stopped the Monday sessions, which were subject knowledge enhancement sessions, and now I'm Monday to Thursday in a classroom, teaching, lesson planning with the kids, super hands-on. I personally do primary. I'm training to become a primary school teacher, but you can also do this method for secondary school teaching as well. So one thing I really love about being hands-on in the classroom, experiencing everything, is because you see things take place there and then. Case studies are super useful. It helps you kind of collaborate all the information into a memorable case. Think, oh, okay, this child was a demonstration of this behaviour. But actually when you're seeing it in the classroom and you're seeing it daily, and you are seeing different ways in which the teacher addresses the child or addresses the behaviour, you suddenly see it in real life, in real time, and it really helps you kind of understand the child, understand the technique, why it's happening, why it's good or not, and I think that's really helpful rather than seeing it on paper and only knowing the information that they've provided. I also think it's really useful because obviously you're building that relationship with the children. I've created a new Twitter, it's at Petite Primary, and I follow loads of teachers there, as well as students also doing their PGCE, and a lot of them are like, oh, just finished my 2-week placement, can't wait to go back and see them again in 5, 6, 7 weeks time. And for me that's kind of, I don't know, I find it a bit sad because you've spent 2 weeks really getting to know these children and you really do kind of invest yourself in them. And then just to kind of cut that contact off and then restart, you know, if you're delivering a lesson, they haven't seen you in 5 weeks, they may push your limits, they may see what they can get away with, and it's almost like you were barely there at all. Whereas I'm noticing this in my 7th week in the same class with the same children, they really respect me and they see me as a teacher rather than being seen as perhaps a guest or a visitor. Yeah, they really do acknowledge my presence in the classroom, which I think is super important. Otherwise you might find yourself in difficult situations, or children might play up just because you're kind of a new figure in the classroom again, almost as if, you know, they just come back from holiday and they're in that post-holiday mindset, let's say. Another reason I really love school-based direct training is that you get to experience school life. You know, it's not kind of, you're not surrounded by your schoolmates and maybe have a little bit of contact time with your lecturer or tutor. You are really there at break in the staff room with all the members of staff, including the TAs. You talk to them, you share experiences in the classroom, you talk about how your morning went, how the meeting last week went, how the training of, you know, the science, maths, literacy leads went in another school. You really do get all these experiences and analogies thrown at you that really do help you immerse yourself into school life and prepare yourself for you know, teaching in reality, really. I actually really enjoy meeting up at break and lunch with the rest of the staff. I think that's actually one of the highlights of my day. They are such a lovely bunch, and it's so good just to have, you know, a little chat and then see, oh, year sixes are doing this. Oh, well, that makes sense because year fives have just started this, and it's just the lead up. Or talking to the year 3 teacher and her saying, this child was super good at homework, maybe keep an eye on this child, they might need guidance on this. Oh, has that child grasped this idea yet? I worked so hard with her last year. And it's really nice just to see that development. Whereas, again, like I mentioned, you might get a case study at uni and that's all you kind of get. You know, there's no opportunity until you go to the placement to really get to know pupils personally. So yeah, really love the staff, and really love the whole French word, ambiance. Yeah, absolutely love it. I don't feel like you can get the same experience when you're surrounded by uni mates and your talk is either on assignment or general life. Don't really know if that made sense, but never mind. I'm just trying to think back to my uni days, which were only a few months ago, so I shouldn't sound like such an old person, but there we are. Another thing I love about school-based teacher training is that you can get really hands-on. You could say, oh, I'd really love to work with this group of children. I have an idea of how I could explain this to them. I noticed that they didn't grasp the concept as quickly as these children. Is it possible for me to take this group out? Or you can show your teacher a lesson plan that you made as an expansion on maybe what they taught last lesson and get feedback on that. Or you could even try and teach that lesson at a future time. It's really helpful for you to write lesson plans out and then actually be able to teach that, because you might think, okay, I really overestimated the time, or I underestimated it, or I ran out of activities so I had to wing something. But what you just made up on the spot actually might be a really helpful activity and a really effective activity that you might want to use later on. So school-based training really gives you the opportunity to throw yourself in there, really get used to school-based life and give yourself opportunities. You know, it shouldn't have to be something that your mentor gives you permission to do. Oh, next week I think you may be able to do this if we have time. Just ask, say, is it possible for me to try this out next week? Or could I plan a lesson with you, let's say during PPA time, and maybe deliver it and you observe it, give me some feedback on it, see what I can improve on. It's a really self-led journey, I think, and the mentor is just there to assist you. Whereas in uni, you are given the content, you do the assignments, and then when you go to the placement, finally you get this opportunity, but before you know it, 2 weeks is gone by so quickly. I can't believe. But I think if you are a hands-on learner, like to get thrown in the deep end, you enjoy having contact time with other staff and really getting to hear about their experiences, I really think that school-based is a good option for you. Obviously, there are different ways to go into teaching. All of that information can be found on Get Into Teaching and really useful websites like that. You've got doing a whole degree, a whole 3 years in it. So for example, I know that University of Winchester, close to me, they do primary education. So after those 3 years, you can go straight into teaching. You are a qualified teacher, you have QTS status. Alternatively, you can go through the uni route. I'm doing school-based, but that is also an option. You can do school-based salaried, which is normally if you've had a fair bit of experience in a school. Maybe you're working as a TA, and so the school maybe wants to pay for you to become a teacher because you've got all that experience, you know how the school runs, you know the children, you know the staff. That's also an option. I think that's all the options. I'm not sure if I've left any out. If I have, I'll leave them in the comments as a little note to myself to remember for next time. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too rambly, but I hope it gave you a little insight into my experiences with it, what I'm currently doing, school-based training, guys, and why I am really loving it. See you for the next video. Thank you, bye.